Tabled before this National Assembly is the 2016 budget. It is before us for debate and passage. Thereafter, authorizing the government to expend these sums in the various sections. Region 5 welcomes the early presentations of 2016 budget. Let me commend the Honorable Minister of Finance and his hard-working team for an excellent and comprehensive national budget to the tune of 230 billion that was presented in this Honorable House on the 29th of January of this year. Mr. Speaker, this budget captures the intent and fulfillment of the promises made in the APNU plus AFC manifesto. This budget has all the ingredients needed to transform this economy, and that we will do. I profoundly say it's a people's budget. Mr. Speaker, the honorable members of the opposition are pretending to have all the answers to develop this great nation of ours, who suffered under them for 23 years in one-party rule. Sir, they are angry, they are bitter, because this 8-month-old government has begun to demonstrate that we are serious about the good life of our Guyanese. Mr. Speaker, let me remind the opposition that the purpose and function of any government is to sustain the welfare and the well-being of its people. The emphasis and the objective is and must always be the happiness of people, and that is what we are going to give, happiness to people. Yes. I wish to turn my attention to the 2016 budget under the theme, stimulating growth, restoring confidence, the good life beckons. Mr. Speaker, I am going to do my rebuttal as I go through my presentation. Rice. I spoke about some critical problems affecting the rice industry on that side of the house. This government inherited a broken rice system. I told the previous government that in the rice industry there was a crisis. I said to them, it is time to recognize the plight of the farmers and that there is need for an implementation of a plan to aggressively market Guyana's rice. I also said then that despite the claims of higher paddy yields and increase in production, the rice industry is on shaky ground. Mr. Speaker, this government is 8 months old. We are aware that we have an obligation to assist in stabilizing the process to benefit farmers and to ensure that the necessary systems are put in place for their livelihood. This crisis and this shaky ground are before us. Stop the blame game. The Honorable Minister made mention on page 27, paragraph 433, and I quote, that rice will not be forgotten, but that the rice industry remains challenged in terms of the cost of production and the competitiveness. The government will continue to support the rice industry, there is no qualm about that, to access new partners, new trade partners, following the collapse of the Venezuela market. Agriculture, Mr. Speaker, is our business in Region 5. And this government will make sure that there is an appropriate level of food security through a sustainable approach in addressing the key obstacles faced by farmers and stakeholders. Mr. Speaker, in years gone by, the entire region and country was affected by floodwaters. This time is the other way around. The current dry weather conditions are affecting several regions in Guyana, including Region 5. In the Abari-Berbice area, there's adequate water in the conservancy to sustain the rice crop. I want the Honorable Minister Gill to take note. Mr. Honorable Member, Mr. Speaker, the MMA-ADA was forced to introduce a system of rationing of irrigation water in the Mahaica-Myconia-Barry areas. And Mr. Speaker, these two areas depend on the rivers for irrigation water. So the rationing of water in both areas is not without challenges. Some farmers have blocked primary drainage and irrigation canals, diverting the water which is being pumped into the network for their sole use. I know persons saw the confusion in the news. Police had to be watching over the process. MMA-ADA field staff were threatened. Even gunplay among farmers took place. Mr. Speaker, all the farmers have to do is to cooperate with each other and share the already limited water in order to save thousands of acres of rice. MMA-ADA, I must say, is doing a good job in terms of pumping, in terms of monitoring and regulating the use of the water. Mr. Speaker, they are ensuring that rice farmers have access to water from the canals to their fields. Regardless of the challenges, work are ongoing in Region 5. I said earlier, since taking office, it has not been easy for this government. But we have made good strides in stabilizing the economy and restoring dignity and integrity of this nation. Mr. Speaker, we inherited battles of farmers when the previous government dismantled cooperative societies. Honorable Member Priya Manichan can bear me out. Families and villagers and friends are now in loggerheads because she are even representing some farmers. There are some small farmers also who did not receive payments for their paddy over the years, Mr. Speaker. How can this government come and blame us? We are 8 months old for a broken and shaky rice industry. But we promise, Mr. Speaker, that we will clean up the mess. Mr. Speaker, even Gaisuku, Blaymont is in my region, that estate, those farmers, those managers had to hire an aircraft to do a flyover of the MMA Conservancy to make sure that adequate water is there to exist and to make sure that the need of that crop is fulfilled. But the amount of water they have there, sir, will do it. Mr. Speaker, we heard lots of things about Gaisuku. I want to say, in 2016, the government will inject $9 billion to assist the industry in its recovery and modernization program. According to the minister on page 27, this industry continues to be the concern of this government, no doubt about that. The yearly bailout, the poor health of the industry, the aged machinery and building, high production costs, weakened sugar prices, and the multi-billion-dollar white elephant at Skeleton is sucking this treasury dry. I said that and I continue to say it. Mr. Speaker, those are the things we have to look at. I want to turn my attention to crime in Region 5. Safeguarding public security and rebuilding trust is very important. Since the launch of Operation Dragnet, the security force is in full operation mode. Mr. Speaker, while crime is still a case for concern, especially in Region 5, many of the perpetrators have of late been caught and some even confessed to the crimes committed. Mr. Speaker, I visited with the Honorable Minister of Social Cohesion the homes of some of the families, and these families are asking for justice. And we assure those families that it will be done. You do the crime, you pay the time. Words from His Excellency himself. Mr. Speaker, we are receiving lectures now from the opposition on how to solve crime. I want to remind them the crime spree started in 2000. And though the British government offered support to the then government, they declined, or must I say refused the assistance. Don't come now and play no blame game, Mr. Speaker. But this APNU plus AFC recognizes that the citizens, regardless of your race, your class, your social status, or gender, have the right to access opportunities and to make an important contribution, Mr. Speaker, to the nation building and for their safety, Hence, this government will make sure that people are safe in their homes. Mr. Speaker, we now have some decent police vehicles in the region riding smoothly with no noise. And so we will be having some more too. Policing groups have been formed in various areas, and these men and women are in uniforms, carrying out duties daily, working along with the police force in the region. It must be noted that our government is working assiduously to develop safety for all. As such, the sum of 24.6 billion has been allocated for the development and modernization of the security sector this year. Silent in the past, but making noise now. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Gill spoke about police personnel are not giving adequate payment, which will, the honorable member. Sorry, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable member, I require the proper form of address.
Yes.
If you are going to refer to an honourable member here.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The honourable member, Mr. Gill, spoke about the police personnel are not giving adequate payments, which will cover the risks they're taking to travel, the expensive to pay off when they want to go to their family on their day off. Mr. Speaker, may I suggest to the honourable member that he uses increase in his salary to put in the Fallen Hero Foundation of Guyana Police Force, and that will do a good to those people. See, maybe the whole opposition. Sea River Defense, Mr. Speaker. Urgent corrective measures are in place to stop the breach at Belladrum foreshore for the residents, Mr. Speaker, who are threatened by the Atlantic Ocean. And they were pleased, Mr. Speaker, with the prompt measure taken by the Honourable Minister of Infrastructure. Over the years, we suffered poor quality of work done for large sums of money. And some areas, the quality of work were highly questionable. Mr. Speaker, the APNU plus AFC government will not condone such practices. And during the past government, in the communities, you had selective areas that work were being done, Mr. Speaker. But I want to say now it is a thing of the past. In Sub-Region 1, I want Mr. Gill, honourable member, to listen to this. In the Abari, Maikoni area, works were done at various areas. Mr. Speaker, the infrastructure work were done in Idam, Fairfield, Fellowship, Grove, Huntley, Goodhope, Calcutta, Campaign, Burma, Catherine, and Adventure. Similar works were done in Sub-Region 2 at Belladrum, Ross, Trafalgar, Bushlat, Uptown, Bath, Cotton Tree, Rosignol, Blaymont, and Ithaca. And I can go on and on, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable member, you have 3 minutes more.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the honourable member be given 5 minutes in addition to her time allotted.
Mr. Speaker.
I thank the honourable member. Honourable member, you have 20 minutes, a total of 20 minutes in which to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the residents of Trafalgar are very happy because they have now proper main road to access them right down to the 28th line. 10 years, Mr. Speaker. 10 years it took them to get such a road. The sum of 14.4 billion has been budgeted to continue the development work of public infrastructure in Guyana and in Region 5. Mr. Speaker, I know that they will benefit lots of areas, and that's the people's budget. The health ministers visited hospitals in Region 5 to determine the physical state and the level of service offered to patients. Sir, a complete inspection of facilities were done and the concern of workers were addressed. Mr. Speaker, the government expects to spend about 28 billion, which is 10.9% of the budget on health sector. The regional authority will now have the opportunity to purchase their own supply of drugs. This will bring an end to a large amount of expired and unnecessary drugs in the region. On February 5th, we witnessed the handing over of the Experiment Health Center, West Coast Babies, which was built by Basic Needs, Mr. Speaker, that trust fund. The Honourable Minister of Health, Dr. Norton. This facility will provide health services for over 4,000 persons from that community. that this facility, Mr. Speaker, will be fully equipped in the next few days. Health system is strengthening. Mr. Speaker, the time has come for a national conversation on suicide and its prevention. For too long, there's been lip service for what is now a health crisis in Guyana. The government will implement an education and prevention program, start with our schools. And Mr. Speaker, the public health problem that is causing this nation, large sums of persons killing themselves, will now come to an end because we are going to follow up. A safe and efficient sanitation system is needed in Region 5 to bring an end, sir, to the indiscriminate dumping of garbage. However, our local government election is on March 18th, 2016, that long period that we are waiting. And it is expected that villagers will take the responsibility of managing their own affairs. Thus, we will be seeing clean and better communities. Mr. Speaker, cleanliness is next to godliness. With a budgeted amount of 15.8 billion for housing and water, Region 5 residents who suffered serious problems in the past, with the quality of water received, Mr. Speaker, that will soon be a thing of the past. Distribution of house lots is on the move. Systems are in place, and those who have clamored for years to get their areas regularized will now benefit. The Honorable Minister Valerie Patterson has put systems in place to remove the bottlenecks and the red tapes that existed under the previous administration. Mr. Speaker, Region 5 residents who never enjoy electricity in their homes and certain sections of public road will now benefit. It is disappointing, Mr. Speaker, that during the national regional elections, Bath Settlement received additional street lights, while the residents of number 30 Back Street, number 9 Back Street, were without electricity in their homes. Nobody spoke about this, Mr. Speaker. I did. And now, Mr. Speaker, my village, your village, don't even have a
Remember, you
street
have 4
light,
minutes remaining.
much less. Bath Settlement, they have public lights on the road. Now they want it in the street. While villages like Yorville, Ross, Tempe, Kingley, Litchfield, Seafield are without public lights on the road, dark like pitch. Mr. Speaker, these are the type of things that we must address. Guyanese people are hardworking, the women are hardworking. The APNU plus AFC government respect this. I place much emphasis on empowering the women across Guyana. Region 5 women will not be left out. Already they are involved in many skill programs, creating employment for themselves and other villages across Guyana. Mr. Speaker, time is against me, and so I want to go to the Commission of Buses in Region 5. His Excellency President David Granger and ministers came into the region, Mr. Speaker, and presented 2 buses, 2 30-seater buses. Mr. Speaker, the former administration did nothing. Whether the color is green or yellow, we put school buses on the road. Whether they're smoking or not, 2-year, 8-year, 5-year, we put school buses on the road. What did the previous administration did on the Honorable Member Priya Manichan? But I want to say, it was a little girl from Trafalgar on the west coast of Berbice who told the president while campaigning in 2015, Mr. Speaker, that our parents have to spend $5,000 a week in transportation to send her to Berbice High School. It was on that ground that the Honorable President of this Cooperative Republic of Guyana decided to come up with a 5B program to make sure that children are comfortable and parents get ease. Mr. Speaker, these buses, 2 buses are taking children from Prophet to Rosignol, because there are 90-something children who are going across the river and have to pay $5,000 a week. That is the purpose of the buses on the road. So if the Honorable Member, Mr. Gill, doesn't know, is to take the children across to Region 6.
I remember you have 2 minutes remaining.
And so, Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, the national budget of 2016 is before the House, and the debate is ongoing, while the entire nation follows with keen interest. Sir, Guyana have a right to know how their monies are being spent, and this parliament will be meaningful in doing so. Mr. Speaker, the opposition refusal to be part of the budget consultation is shocking and it's a shame. And now they are coming now to say things about this budget. Mr. Speaker, I want to say that that is distasteful. However, Region number 5 budgetary allocation will be spent wisely in all areas. I am proud and excited about the prospects of a good life for the people under this new government. Sir, Ghana voted for a change, for a good life. Budget 2015 as the first step towards the green economy. Budget 2016 in stimulating growth, restoring confidence, the good life beckons, Mr. Speaker. This will be delivered. Yes, the road is long, and hard, but what I know, Mr. Speaker, that APNU plus AFC government will get there by God's grace. Sir, as a lay minister in the Anglican Diocese of Guyana, I want to quote this piece of scripture.
Honorable member, your time is up.
Okay, Mr. Speaker, thank you very much.